Hi guys, so I figured I would record today's lesson just in case some of you are having like power issues. So I figured you could watch it at any time, and your work is going to be due tomorrow night as always. So if you don't have power, well, if you don't have power, you won't be watching this, I guess. But get just to give everybody a little bit more time to do it. Okay, so this next lesson is more of vertex form, but we're going to use vertex form to write equations of parabolas. So here we go. Okay, so remember that right here is vertex form. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be given a point on a parabola and the vertex of the parabola, and we're going to be writing the equation of it. So the past few lessons, what we've done is we were given the equation and we've analyzed the equation based on what it looked like. And so now we're given some points on the graph and we're going to write the equation. So it's kind of like the reverse. So this first example says, what is the equation of a quadratic with vertex 1, -4, which passes through the point -2, -1? So we're given a vertex and we're given a point. And we're asked to write an equation. So what we're going to do, if you look at step 1, is it says substitute vertex HK and ordered pair XY into the vertex form. So the first thing that you want to do is label your points. So vertex, remember, is HK. So I'm going to label this one with an H and this one with a K. Then our point is an X and a Y. And so notice in vertex form, there's a spot for Y, there's a spot for X, there's a spot for H, there's a spot for K. So we are going to plug in all of these values, and notice that the only thing we don't have something for is A. And so what's going to happen is we're going to plug in all these numbers, and then we're going to solve for A. That's our step 2. And then at the end, we'll take A, H, and K and write our equation. So there's definitely a lot of algebra in this topic, but if you take it one step at a time, it's not too bad. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite vertex form right here. So we have it. Okay, and so now, like I said, I'm going to plug in H, K, X, and Y, and then we're going to solve for A. So instead of Y, I'm going to plug in -1. And then A, we don't know A, that's what we're going to find. Instead of X, I'm going to plug in -2, and then it's minus. And now H, if we look over here, H is 1. And then plus K. K is -4. Okay, so that's what it looks like when we just plug in. Now we have to solve. So the first thing that you want to do is do the parentheses first. So we're going to do inside here. So -2 minus 1 is -3. So I'm going to rewrite it all. -1 equals A, and then -3 squared plus -4. We could say -4. Either way. Okay, so now we have to do the squaring. We have to do -3 squared, which is 9. So also when I write it, instead of writing A times 9, I'm going to switch it around and put 9A, because that's typically how we see that written. And so now it's just a regular two-step equation, and so I'm just going to solve for A. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides, and I'm going to finish it over here. So -1 plus 4 is 3 equals 9A. And then we have to solve for A, so we're going to divide by 9. 3 divided by 9 is just 1/3. That's what it reduces to. So we solved for A. That was step 2. A lot of work, I get it, but not that hard. So once you solve for A, now we have to do our final step, which is write the equation. And so what we're going to do to write the equation is we're going to take vertex form and we're going to plug in A, we're going to plug in H, and we're going to plug in K. We are not going to plug numbers in for X and Y, because your equation, the regular equation of a parabola, should always have an X and a Y in it. And so you don't want to put numbers in, because then it would be all numbers, and we don't want that. We want it to have an X and a Y in it. So our equation would look like this. Y equals, instead of a, we're plugging in 1/3. And then x minus h is 1. And then plus k is -4. So then this would be your equation. That would be your final answer. So that's our first example. I have 2 more examples that we're going to do, and then you guys are just going to practice some. Okay, so I had to switch to my document camera because that whiteboard program was not working properly and it kept skipping when I was writing. So I'll finish it off on here. So this next one, example 2, we're given the vertex again, which is HK. So let's label that HK. And we're also given the y-intercept this time. So the y-intercept is a point that's on the parabola. We just have to write it as an ordered pair. So if it's the y-intercept of -1, that's really written as 0, -1. And that's your x and your y. So again, our goal here, we need to write the equation. So we need to find what a is so we can write the equation with h and k. So we're going to plug all of this into vertex form. So let me write vertex form, y equals a, and then x minus h squared plus k. And we're going to plug in for y, x, h, and k. And then we're going to solve for a. Okay, so instead of y, we're plugging in -1. We don't know a, so we're going to leave that like that. Instead of x, we're plugging in 0. And then it's minus h, which is -2. You do need both of these negative signs. This one is from the formula. This one is from h. And we'll deal with that in a second. And then plus k, which is 3. Okay, so now we need to do inside the parentheses 0 minus -2. That becomes plus. 0 plus 2 is just 2. So this becomes -1 equals a. And then that's going to be 2 squared plus 3. So now we need to solve for a. So we're going to do exponents next. 2 squared is 4. So -1 equals, and instead of writing a times 4, typically it's written the other way around. So 4a plus 3. And now we just solve. So we're going to subtract 3. So -4 equals 4a. And then I'll finish it up here. Last thing you're going to do is divide by 4. So a equals -1. Now remember, you're not done once you find a. Once you find a, you have to take a and the vertex and plug them into vertex form. Remember, you leave y and x as is, as y and x. We're not plugging in 0 and -1 there. Because if we plugged in all the numbers, then it would be all numbers and there wouldn't be any variables. You always need an x and a y. So it's y equals a is -1. And then x minus h. So minus -2, which I'm just going to switch to plus 2. And then plus k is 3. So that would be your final answer. Notice there's an x and a y in it. We have our a, we have our h, and we have our k. So that's the format that it should always be in. Okay, the next one, example 3, what is the equation of the given quadratic? So for this one, we are going to identify the vertex, and we're going to pick a point on the parabola, any point. The vertex is right here, which is -1, -4, because from the origin I went left 1 and down 4. So there's the vertex there. A point on the parabola. You want to choose one that crosses like at a whole number. Like either of these would be good. We don't want to try to estimate right now. Those would all be good points to use. So for no particular reason, let's use this one, 1, 4. Okay, so remember this is h, this is k, this is x, this is y. We're going to take those, plug it into vertex form. So I'm going to rewrite vertex form again. I like to rewrite it so you have it right where you're plugging it in. Okay, so now let's start plugging in. So instead of y, we're putting a 4. We don't know what a is. Instead of x, we're plugging in 1. And then it's minus h, which is -1. And then plus k, which is -4. Okay, so that's what it looks like when you plug it in. Then we have to do the parentheses. So 1 minus -1 becomes plus. So this is 4 equals a, and then 1 plus 1 would be 2. And then we have to do exponents. So that's going to be 2 squared is 4. So we have 4 equals 4a minus 4. Lots of 4s. And then we're solving, so we're going to add 4 to both sides. So that's going to be 8 equals 4a. And then lastly, divide by 4. So a is 2. Remember, once you get a, you're taking a, h, and k and plugging it into vertex form. So that should be y equals, instead of a, we're plugging in the 2 we just found. Then x minus h, so minus -1 is plus 1 squared, and then minus 4, because that's plus k. So then that would be your final answer there. After you watch this video, if it's still during class time and you have questions, please come back and ask, or you could come for ACT Lab today at around 1:10. All right, that's that. Have a great day, everyone.